The shock came without warning, and for millions of fans around the world, it felt like the ground beneath the BTS universe suddenly shifted. In an unexpected turn of events, HYBE announced a monumental decision regarding Jungkook's artistic future, leaving not just the ARMY stunned, but one member in particular, Jin, visibly shaken. What exactly happened behind the scenes? And why does this decision feel far more complicated than a simple career move? Insiders close to the company described the moment as emotionally charged. The press release, clinical and polished, painted the decision as a strategic expansion. Jungkook would lead a long-term solo initiative under HYBE's global label division, separate from the primary BTS framework. The phrasing was designed to inspire excitement. A new era of global artistry begins. But beneath the optimism lay tension, questions, and the quiet tremor of uncertainty. When Jin learned of the news, witnesses say he froze mid-conversation. After a pause, he simply murmured, "He's ready, but are we?" That sentence alone captured the heart of the issue, the delicate balance between individual ambition and collective identity. BTS, after all, was never just 7 performers. It was a brotherhood, a living system of trust and shared history. Could such a system remain intact if one of its pillars stepped into a separate orbit? Social media erupted within minutes. Hashtags like #JinReaction, #HYBE statement, and #JungkookFuture began trending across multiple platforms. TikTok edits paired Jungkook's "Standing Next to You" with teary-eyed clips of Jin, while Twitter threads speculated whether this marked the first step toward a permanent group disbandment. But was that the truth, or a narrative amplified by online emotion and algorithmic frenzy? Here lies the uncomfortable question. Was HYBE's decision purely artistic or strategically engineered to maintain public momentum? The company's precise timing, releasing the statement just as Jin completed his military service and BTS's reunion talk intensified, raised eyebrows among analysts. Could this have been a calculated distraction, a way to reframe public discourse away from group expectations and toward individual expansion? Jin's reaction only deepened the intrigue. He has long been known as BTS's emotional compass, the member who keeps the team grounded when fame becomes overwhelming. His shock wasn't simply personal, it reflected an instinct that something fundamental was changing. Was this the beginning of a creative evolution, or the quiet unraveling of BTS's unity as the world knows it? In the hours that followed, members began to break their silence. RM called the moment bittersweet, noting that Jungkook's talent was always destined to transcend boundaries. Jimin expressed pride but admitted, "It hurts that we didn't all hear it together." Suga, ever pragmatic, observed that progress always comes with growing pains. Their words were measured, yet behind them, fans sensed unease. And then came Jin's unfiltered response, not in a press release, not through management, but through a raw, unedited live stream. Appearing without stage lighting or glamour, Jin spoke quietly to millions watching. "I'm proud of him. But I felt blindsided. Not by Jungkook, by how it happened." The honesty of his tone cut through the noise. There was no anger, only vulnerability, the kind that rarely surfaces in the polished world of K-pop diplomacy. This moment reignited debate. How much control do idols truly have over their careers? How transparent is the relationship between artist and agency, even in an era that celebrates authenticity? Jin's words peeled back a layer of the industry rarely exposed to the public eye. His message, intentionally or not, reminded fans that every glossy announcement carries emotional consequences behind the scenes. But perhaps the most powerful part of Jin's reaction wasn't his sadness, it was his clarity. "Jungkook deserves the world," he said, "and if this is his path, then I'll cheer for him louder than anyone. But I also hope the world remembers, BTS began as 7 and our story isn't over." It was both a blessing and a warning, a reminder that the identity of BTS cannot be easily rebranded or reduced to strategy. The ripple effect has continued to spread. Fans are now divided between optimism and suspicion. Is this truly the next phase of creative independence, or a subtle redirection of the group's future away from collective artistry toward corporate control? Each theory seems plausible, yet no one outside the walls of HYBE truly knows. What cannot be denied is the emotional authenticity of Jin's response, a rare and raw glimpse into the human side of global superstardom. It forces us to ask, do we, as fans and observers, ever stop to consider the cost of these big decisions? Are we complicit in amplifying corporate narratives that prioritize spectacle over sincerity? And what about the company itself? HYBE's statement assures that BTS remains a priority. But can such assurances hold weight when actions tell a different story? When individual branding, global partnerships, and cross-market expansions begin to overshadow the unity that once defined them? These are questions without easy answers, yet they demand to be asked. As the dust settles, one truth becomes increasingly clear: Jin's reaction wasn't an overreaction. It was an alarm, a gentle but urgent reminder of the fragile balance between art and enterprise, between brotherhood and business. And perhaps in that vulnerability lies the most unfiltered truth of all. So now, the question turns to you, the viewer, the fan, the reader. Do you believe this moment represents growth or fragmentation? Is Jungkook's solo path the result of creative freedom, or is it the beginning of a slow, deliberate separation orchestrated behind closed doors? The question now becomes sharper and harder to ignore. Did this really happen, or are we part of a larger narrative carefully designed to stir public emotion? When HYBE announced a major decision regarding Jungkook's future, and Jin's seemingly genuine reaction spread rapidly across digital platforms, many people immediately accepted it as fact. But have we ever stopped for a moment to ask, how do we actually know it's real? In today's fast-paced media landscape, the line between reality and fabrication is increasingly blurred. Information pours in from every direction: TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, and even so-called official news outlets. But can all these sources truly be trusted? Isn't it possible that some of the content we consume is nothing more than emotional manipulation, crafted to grab attention and generate clicks? Let's reflect for a moment. When a headline says "Jin shocked" or "HYBE panicked," does it really represent their emotions, or is it just an interpretation created by the media to make the story sound more dramatic? Who truly benefits when we believe every word we see without verifying its authenticity? The artist being reported on? The company? Or the media outlets that thrive on engagement and sensationalism? If we dig deeper, this pattern is nothing new. The entertainment industry, especially K-pop, has long been a battlefield between image and reality. Every smile on stage might hide unseen pressure. Every conflict between members could be exaggerated to maintain public interest. So, is it true that Jin felt betrayed by HYBE's decision, or is this simply a narrative amplified by social media algorithms to make it appear more dramatic? These are important questions to ask.